The spaceship door opened with a heavy sound. Two tall alien guards walked in, holding a human man between them. The man looked tired, his clothes dirty, but his eyes were calm. His name was Jake. Jake had been captured during a battle near Earth's last defense station. The alien army had won. Now he was a prisoner on the alien empire's capital ship, floating far from home. Waiting for him in the throne room was Varakta, the alien queen. She stood 8 feet tall with glowing purple skin, golden eyes, and long bone-like spikes running down her arms and back. She was feared across the galaxy. She had crushed planets, burned cities, and destroyed rebellions with one command. Her humans were weak, small, and emotional creatures. She had never seen them as a threat. Until now. Jake was brought in and forced to his knees. The queen sat on her tall throne, her golden armor shining under the alien lights. She looked down at Jake, not angry, just curious. "So this is the human who wouldn't speak," she said, her voice cold and smooth like glass. "You have been silent for 3 days." Jake looked up at her, his face bruised, but he still smiled. "I didn't have anything to say," he replied calmly. The guards looked shocked. One of them raised a weapon, but the queen lifted her hand. "Let him speak." Jake stood up slowly. He was much shorter than her. He looked around at the alien guards, the scientists, and then back at the queen. "What do you want from me?" he asked. The queen stood up and stepped closer. Her shadow fell over him. "Your kind is strange. Fragile bodies but strong minds. You fought with more courage than expected. Maybe because we're fighting." "For something more than power," Jake said. "We fight for family, for love, for our home." The word love made the queen laugh. Her laugh echoed through the metal walls. It was a rare sound, sharp and bitter. "Love?" she said. "What? A useless thing. Your species is weak because of such feelings." One of her council members, a smaller alien with silver eyes, stepped forward and joked, "Perhaps the queen should test his breeding strength. For science, of course." The room laughed. Jake didn't. He just looked at the queen with steady eyes. "You can laugh," he said, "but we humans have something you lost long ago. Something you might still need." The queen stopped smiling. "And what is that?" "Hope," Jake said simply. The word hung in the air. The queen turned, her back to him, and walked slowly toward her throne. "Take him to Chamber 17, she said. "I want him studied, fully." As the guards moved forward, the royal scientist whispered to the queen, "Your Majesty, we scanned him. His DNA carries something ancient, something rare, something that matches royal patterns." The queen raised an eyebrow. "You mean he's compatible?" "Yes," the scientist replied. "Possibly fertile." The queen stared at Jake again. For the first time, she didn't see just a human. She saw a puzzle, a key to something forgotten. "Interesting," she said softly. Jake was taken away, but he looked over his shoulder one last time. Their eyes met. Hers were cold, sharp, calculating, but his were full of something different, something that confused her. The queen sat down, lost in thought. For hundreds of years, no alien queen had produced a child. Their race was growing weaker, slower, less creative. Scientists had tried to find a cure, a spark, a way forward. Nothing worked. And now, this human, this small, bold creature, had brought something with him. Not weapons, not ships, but a spark of life. Jake sat alone in a glass cell. The walls were smooth and glowing blue. He had no idea where he was now, only that it was somewhere deep inside the alien queen's ship. Outside the cell, alien scientists moved around, speaking in strange clicks and signals. Machines hummed, lights blinked. Everything felt cold, too clean, too quiet. But Jake wasn't afraid. He was thinking about the queen. She was different, dangerous, yes, but also curious, like she was searching for something and didn't know it yet. Then, The door opened with a soft hiss. Footsteps echoed on the metal floor. Queen Vericta entered. She wore a dark robe instead of her usual golden armor. Her glowing skin shimmered in the low light. Her eyes watched Jake with something new. Not hate, not fear, something deeper. The cell door opened. "Come with me," she said. Jake stood, surprised. "Where?" "To the royal lab." He followed her through long corridors made of silver and glass. Guards stared as he passed. Some whispered. Others looked disgusted. A human walking beside their queen. It was unthinkable. They reached a high chamber with a floating platform in the center. Strange lights hovered in the air. At the center was a large silver ring, like a portal. "Stand inside," she commanded. Jake looked at her. "What is this?" "An experiment," she said. "To understand your biology. To compare it to mine. Nothing more." He stepped inside. The ring closed around him. Soft lights scanned his body. Screens lit up. Alien symbols danced. The scientists gasped. "His energy levels are rising," one said. "This is impossible." The queen stepped closer, looking at the results. "What is happening to him?" "Your Majesty," said the lead scientist. "His presence is triggering a genetic awakening in our system. It's like his body is calling to something inside you." Jake looked at her. "What does that mean?" The scientist hesitated, then said softly, "It means, if you connect with him, something may be born. Something never seen before." The queen turned away, hiding the sudden heat rising in her chest. "Ridiculous," she muttered, but her hands were shaking. Later that night, alone in her royal chamber, she stared at her reflection. Her skin was glowing brighter than ever. Her heart beat faster than it had in years. She touched her chest. "What is happening to me?" she whispered. A sound came from behind. It was Jake. He stood in the doorway, confused. "Your guards brought me here." "Why?" The queen turned. "Because this is part of the experiment." "What kind of experiment brings a prisoner into the queen's private chamber?" he asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she looked into his eyes. "You speak of love, of connection. But you are a soldier. You have killed." "Yes," Jake said. "To protect, not to rule. Not like you." Silence. Then the queen stepped closer. "If our bodies are truly compatible, then you must prove your worth, not just with strength, but with your soul." Jake looked at her carefully. "How do I do that?" "Show me. Why your kind still believes in hope." His hand moved slowly and gently touched hers. Her eyes widened, but she didn't pull away. Her skin glowed. The machines outside her room began to beep wildly. Scientists stared at the screen, stunned. One whispered, "It's happening." Queen Vericta sat alone in her royal meditation chamber. The walls were covered in living vines from her homeworld, glowing faintly in the dark. Normally, the calm energy here would help her focus, sharpen her mind. But tonight, something was wrong. She couldn't breathe properly. Her chest felt heavy. Her heart beat faster than usual, and her skin, usually smooth and cool, was warm and pulsing softly with light. She opened her eyes. Her hands were trembling. "This is not sickness," she told herself. "This is something else." She remembered the moment Jake touched her hand. His fingers were gentle, warm, not like anything she had felt before. It had awakened something deep, something ancient. She walked to the mirror in silence. Her reflection shocked her. Her golden eyes were no longer sharp and cold, they looked softer, rounder. Her skin was brighter, almost glowing from within, and there was a faint line of silver light traveling across her belly, like energy growing inside. "No," she whispered, backing away. She rushed out of the chamber, calling for her lead scientist. Within minutes, the medical team scanned her. Strange readings appeared on the crystal tablets. "What is this?" she demanded. The scientist bowed his head. Your Majesty, your body is changing. Your genetic code is rewriting itself. Explain, she growled. Your connection with the human. It triggered ancient biological programming. Long forgotten, but still inside your royal bloodline. He unlocked it. What am I becoming? She whispered. The scientist didn't answer, but the look in his eyes told her the truth. In the prison wing, Jake was awake. He couldn't sleep. He had felt something too. When he touched her hand, it was like electricity passed between them, but not painful. It was peaceful, comforting. What did I do? He wondered aloud. Then the door opened. The Queen entered. This time, no guards followed. She stood there for a moment, just watching him. Her voice was soft when she spoke. Something is growing inside me. Jake stood up. What do you mean? My kind. We haven't had children for centuries. Our bodies forgot how. But now, I feel life inside me. Silence filled the room. Jake stepped forward slowly. Are you afraid? She nodded. It was the first time she had ever shown weakness. I am not made for this. I was made for war, for command, for power. Maybe this is power, Jake said, the power to create, to care. Her eyes locked onto his. For the first time, she didn't look like a queen. She looked like a woman, confused, afraid, and full of questions. Then suddenly, her body shook. She collapsed to her knees, gripping her stomach. Energy pulsed from her skin in waves of light. Jake ran to her. What's happening? The Queen gasped. It's starting. The change. Back in the Royal Medical Chamber, scientists watched as her life signs changed rapidly. Her body is forming a second heartbeat, one said in awe. And the child, it's stable. It's real. A warrior queen had become something new, a mother, and the one who caused it was just a simple human. Queen Varicta sat on the edge of her throne, her breathing slow and heavy. It had been 3 days since her body changed, 3 days since the impossible was confirmed. She was carrying a child that was not fully alien, and not fully human. Every corner of her palace whispered now. Guards avoided her eyes. Council members kept their voices low, and somewhere deep in the walls, plans were being made to remove her. To them, this was not a miracle. It was betrayal. In a high meeting chamber, her top generals gathered without her. This human is changing her, one said. He is not just a threat to her body, another replied. He is a threat to the entire bloodline. They looked at a hidden screen showing Jake's face. He sat in a peaceful room now, no longer a prisoner. He had earned her trust, but not theirs. He must be eliminated, the commander said. And if the Queen refuses? Asked one soldier. The commander's voice turned cold. Then, she too must fall. Meanwhile, inside the Queen's private chamber, Jake was helping her stand. Her energy had been weak today, but she still walked with pride. They think I've lost control, she said. Have you? Jake asked. She looked at him. Her eyes no longer sharp, but heavy with thought. For the first time, I feel something stronger than control. You're scared, he whispered. She nodded. Yes. He gently placed his hand over her stomach. But you're not alone. The Queen closed her eyes. This feeling, it is dangerous. So is love, Jake said. Outside the chamber, a spy watched through a small lens. He whispered into a hidden mic. Confirming emotional bond. Phase 2 may begin. The next day, an announcement echoed across the royal city. The Queen has fallen to a human influence, a general's voice boomed. Our legacy is under attack. Panic spread. Some aliens cheered, others feared. Rebels in distant colonies sent messages. The empire is weak now, the bloodline is broken. But in the Queen's heart, something else had grown. A connection. A bond. When Jake looked at her, he didn't see a monster. He didn't see a ruler. He saw a woman. Lost and searching. and now carrying their child. That night, while they sat alone under the soft lights of her garden, she asked a question. "What happens if they come for you?" "They already are," he said. "And you're not afraid?" Jake smiled. "I used to be, but then I met someone stronger than fear." The Queen turned to him. "Me?" He nodded. "Yes, you." She touched his face for the first time. Not as a queen. Not as an alien, but as someone who had finally found what she didn't know she needed. Connection. Not forced, not created by science, but real. Deep. And dangerous. The sky above the alien capital turned red, not from weather, but from warships. Ships that belonged not to enemies, but to her own empire. Queen Varakta stood by the tall glass wall of her palace, staring at the ships in silence. She could feel it in her bones, the shift. The loyalty of her people was breaking, and in the heart of her empire, someone had given the order: kill the human, and if needed, kill the queen. In the dark council chamber, the decision had already been made. "The child must not be born," growled the High Commander. "A hybrid bloodline will destroy the purity of our throne. We cannot allow emotion to rule the galaxy," said another counselor. They pressed their hands onto glowing stone tablets, sealing the command. A special unit was formed, Shadowclaw. Silent, deadly, loyal only to the Empire. They had one job: end it before it begins. Back in the palace, Jake was helping the Queen sit down. She was weaker today. Her pregnancy was moving faster than science could explain. The child inside her was growing at a speed never seen before. "Are you okay?" he asked. She tried to smile. "I feel tired, but not afraid. They'll come for us," Jake said quietly. She nodded. "Yes, I know." Just then, the room's lights flickered. A silent alarm blinked red. Not loud, but deadly. The Queen stood up, her body shaking, but her eyes now sharp again. "They're here." The attack was silent. 3 Shadowclaw assassins moved through the royal corridors. Like smoke, they wore no armor. No sound. Only blades and poison. One of them whispered, "Target confirmed. Human and Queen in inner garden." They moved closer. But Jake was ready. He may have been a prisoner, a stranger on an alien world, but he was still a soldier. When the assassins leaped from the shadows, Jake grabbed the Queen and threw her behind a pillar. A blade cut across his back. Blood sprayed. But he stayed standing. He fought with nothing but his fists and courage. And the Queen, she remembered her power. She rose, energy sparking from her skin. "You dare touch what is mine," she roared. Light exploded from her hands. 2 assassins burned to ash. But the third one threw a poison dart. It flew fast, straight toward Jake. The Queen moved without thinking. The dart hit her shoulder. She dropped to her knees. "No!" Jake screamed, catching her. The assassin fled. Guards rushed in too late. In the healing chamber, the Queen lay still. The poison was rare, made only for her kind. Jake held her hand. "Don't go," he whispered. "Don't leave us." Her eyes fluttered open, weak but alive. I won't," she said softly. "I still feel him. Our child, he's strong." A healer stepped back from the scans. "Your Majesty, the child is fighting the poison from inside. Your body is surviving because of him." In that moment, something changed in Jake. He looked at the healer. "We can't stay here." "Where will you go?" the healer asked. Jake looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere the Empire can't reach. He turned to the Queen. "We're leaving. Tonight." She nodded. She had fought wars, ruled galaxies, but now she would run. For the first time, not for fear, but for love. Deep in the forgotten region of space, a hidden moon spun quietly under the cover of thick black clouds. No ships came here. No patrols passed. This was where Jake and Queen Varakta had escaped after the assassination attempt. The moon had no cities, only a single glowing cave said to hold ancient healing energy from the time before the Empire. The queen lay on soft moss, her body glowing brighter each day. The child was coming, not in months, but in days, and no one understood how. Jake watched over her, building a shelter with what he could find. He hunted small creatures for food, boiled water from strange roots, and stayed close every moment. Each time she closed her eyes, she felt the child moving. Strong, awake, full of light, and inside that light was something new. Not just alien, not just human, but both. On the third night, the queen woke up screaming. The cave shook, her skin glowed golden and blue, her eyes wide with pain and power. "It's time," she whispered. Jake ran to her side. "I'm here. I've got you." The air around them began to hum. Blue dust lifted from the rocks, floating in the air like stars. A soft energy wrapped around the queen's body as if the cave itself was helping. She screamed again. The ground, cracked out light exploded from the earth, and then a sound. Soft, alive. Crying. Jake looked down. In his hands was a child. Not fully human, not fully alien, but perfect. His skin was smooth and silver blue, glowing gently. His eyes opened, and they were bright green like Jake's. The queen looked at him, tears in her eyes for the first time in her long, powerful life. "He's beautiful," she whispered. "He's ours," Jake said. They wrapped the child in glowing vines that warmed like cloth. The queen held him close, and for the first time, she felt peace. No empire, no throne, no fear, just warmth, just family, but far, above them deep in space. The Empire had not forgotten. A new signal blinked in the control tower of the royal fleet. Energy signature detected. Hybrid birth confirmed. The commander stared at the message. They survived. He turned to his officers. "Prepare the fleet. They will not live long." Back on the moon, Jake sat beside the queen and their sleeping child. "They'll come," she said. "Let them," Jake answered. She smiled. Not as a ruler, but as a mother. "This time, we fight for something greater." Jake looked at the stars, not for power, not for planets, but for him. The sky above the hidden moon turned silver. Not from light, but from ships. Hundreds of them. The royal fleet had arrived, dark and silent. They floated like shadows above the cave where Queen Varicta, Jake, and their newborn child lay sleeping. Voice echoed across the clouds. "This is the Empire. Surrender the child, surrender the traitor, or be destroyed." Inside the cave, Jake stood up. He looked at the queen, holding their baby close to her chest. Her eyes were full of peace, but her heart beat like thunder. "They're really here," he said softly. The queen nodded. "Yes." "What do we do now?" She stood up slowly, still weak, but tall, like a storm ready to rise again. "We show them what love looks like." Minutes later, Queen Varicta stepped outside the cave. No armor, no crown, only the child in her arms and Jake at her side. The wind howled. The ships began to power their weapons. But then, something unexpected happened. A golden light rose from the queen's body. Not fire, not energy, something deeper. The light spread across the sky, touching every ship. Inside the command vessels, soldiers fell silent. Pain in their chests, tears in their eyes. "What is this?" a pilot whispered. "This feeling." Back on the ground, the queen raised her voice. It was not loud, but it reached every corner of the fleet. "For thousands of years we ruled by fear," she said. "We destroyed, we controlled, we silenced." She held up her child. "But this life, this child, is proof that something greater exists. Something your cold hearts forgot long ago." Jake stepped forward. "This child is the future, a bridge between two worlds, not a threat but hope." There was silence. Then one ship, powered down, then another, and another. Within moments, the entire fleet turned away and disappeared into the stars. Back in the capital, the royal throne sat empty. The council was disbanded. No more rulers, no more fear. Stories began to spread of the queen who gave up her throne for a human, of a child who would grow to unite the stars. They called it the Age of Light. On a quiet garden moon, far from politics and power, the queen sat with Jake beneath a glowing tree. Their child played nearby, chasing floating lights in the air. Jake looked at her. "Do you miss it? The throne? The empire?" She shook her head slowly. "No," she whispered. "I found something greater." "What?" She smiled gently. "You." He took her hand, and as stars shimmered above them, their child laughed for the first time, a sound so pure it echoed across the galaxy.